we have the integral of x divided by 16x to the fourth minus 1, and we want to use partial fraction decomposition to find this integral. So first we want to decompose this, and to decompose it, factor the bottom, so the factors. So this is the difference of two squares. So we can do 4x squared plus minus 1, and then 4x squared plus 1. But 4x squared minus 1 is also the difference of two squares, so we need to factor again. 4x squared minus 1 is 2x minus 1, and then 2x plus 1, and then we have the 4x squared plus 1. And so this is what we end up with. So rewrite this as a constant. This is a linear factor. This is a linear factor, meaning the exponent over the x is just 1. But this is a quadratic factor because the exponent here is 2. So since it's a linear factor, we have constant a divided by 2x minus 1, and then constant b dividing by 2x plus 1. And then for the, this is a quadratic factor, then we have cx plus d dividing by 4x squared, and then plus 1. So we just have a linear factor, then the top be just a constant. But if we have a quadratic factor, then the top needs to be some constant times x, and then plus another constant. And then to combine these three expressions right here, we can do the common denominators. So these three factors are distinct, so the common denominator would be just the three of them, the product of all three. And then a will be a times these two factors. And then b times the first factor and the third factor. and then the factor cx plus d times these two factors. And we looked at it, and we can see that if we take this part right here, the first part, if we divide it by these, the denominator, then we'll end up with a dividing by 2x minus 1. And if we take this part and divide it by this denominator, then we end up with b divided by 2x plus 1. And then this we divide, we get cx plus d divided by 4x squared plus 1. And again, to figure out what a, b, c, d are, let x be values that make these factors 0. And so first, let x be 1/2. If we put a 1/2 in here, and then 2 times 1/2, it'd be 0. 2 times 1/2 is 0. And so that make this part 0, and this part 0. So right here, we have 1/2. Right here we have 1/2. 1/2. So we get a. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1/2 square is 1/4 times 4 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Two times 1/2. And then we also need to put in the right side. So we compare this fraction with this fraction. X has to equal the top. So we need to put x over here. But since we let x be 1/2, then we get 1/2 on the left side. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this part would be 0. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this would be 0. That'll make this whole thing right here 0. So we get 1/2. Equal to 4a, and then the divide both sides by 4. Then we get a to be 1/8. And then to figure out to get b, pick something to make this factor 0. So we can let x be negative 1/2. Because 2 times negative 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So now we let x be negative 1/2. So we have x equal to that. So we get 1/2, then A, so right here, negative 1/2. In the place of this x, we put negative 1/2. And then right here, we put negative 1/2. And we have negative 1/2, negative 1/2. So we have negative 1/2. 2 times negative 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. And so that'll make this part 0. 2 times negative 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. So we have B, negative 2. Negative 1/2 squared is 1/4. Times 4 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Two times negative 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. But over here, 2 times negative 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So this whole thing right here will be 0. And so here we have negative 1/2 equal to negative 4b. And so since we have negative and negative, multiply both sides by negative 1, then we get 1/2. See, negative 2, let's go back to this part. Negative 2 times 2, that's negative 4. And then dividing by negative 4, and then B will be 1/8. And now we need to figure out what C and D are. Now, C and D is corresponds to this factor, but 4x squared plus 1, this will never be 0. 4x squared plus 1 is always going to be greater than 0. And so if there's nothing that we can pick for x that will make this factor 0. And when we don't have a number that will make this factor 0, then the next best thing we can do is just let x be 0, let x be 1, or some small number. And so in this case, let's go ahead and let x be 0. Now one more time, the reason we can do this is because this equation right here is true for any x. Pick any x, then the left side and the right side will be equal. It's true for any x. And so if we do that, then we get in the place of x we have 0, 0, so now we have 0. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 4 times 0 plus is 0, plus 1 is 1. A times 1 will be just A. This will be 2 times 0 minus 1 is negative 1. 4 times 0 plus 1 is 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, so we get negative 1b. C times 0 is 0 plus d is d. And this part will be negative 1, this part will be 1. And so all together we get negative 1d. But earlier we know that 8 is 1/8. And b is also 1/8. And then minus d. And so we get 0, and then on the right side, we just get negative d. And so d is equal to 0. So now that we got A, B, and D, so the only thing we need to figure out is C. And so C, let's pick X to be 1. So we get 1 here. And then we have a 1 here. 1 here. So we get 1. Here we have 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then this is 4 times 1, plus 4 is 5, so that'll make it 15. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1, and this part is 5, so we get 5. C times 1 is C, and then D. 2 times 1 is 1, 2 plus 1, 2 minus 1 is 1, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. And that will give us 15A plus 5B, and this is 3, so it's 3C plus 3D. But we know that 8 is 1/8, B is 1/8, D is 0. And so this part will be 0, and then solve for C. We get C to be negative 1/2. And so our integral now becomes this. A is 1/8. B is 1/8. C is negative 1/2. And then D is 0. And so this integral is equal to this integral dx plus this integral dx plus this integral dx. So this will be 1/8 this is 1/8 and then this being negative 1/2. Then we have x dividing by 4x squared, and then plus 1 dx. So this will be 1/8, and then we have this formula right here. If we have a b right here, then it'd be just an extension of this 1 over b plus bx. So this will be 1 over 2 ln of 2x minus 1. And this would be 1/8 ln of the 1a and then minus 1/2. And then this integral right here, if we use u substitution method, it let u be 4x squared plus 1, and this would come out to be 4x ln of just ln of 4x squared plus 1, and then plus c. And this is the final answer.